If y'all love black people, like this, comment, and share if y'all love black people.
So bathroom bills are back. Thanks to HB 322, Alabama has reawakened the terrible, disgusting, awful monster that has been lying dormant for the last few years. Now, schools are always at the center of these debates, and it really makes my blood boil. Because the lived reality of these bills is not what lawmakers are hoping, which is trans kids detransitioning and happily peeing beside their cis classmates. It's bladder infections from holding in urine for 10 hours. It's skipping school to avoid humiliation and falling behind. It's not signing up for clubs and plays and sports or anything else that connects a student to their school because they are terrified of being here more than 1 second longer than they have to. And I know the arguments just aren't there for it because we did this like 6 years ago with HB2. They're afraid of something that just doesn't happen. Trans kids aren't assaulting their classmates in bathrooms. It is a ludicrous and unfounded scare tactic. But that's not really the point for them, I don't think, because if you restrict bathrooms, you make it that much harder to exist, like in public space. And schools are a non-optional public space. What they really want is for us to not exist. It's not about safety, it's not about bathrooms, and it's certainly not about children. It's about a trans person's right to just be alive, to access public spaces. And for them, it's about making sure that queer students know as early as possible that they are not wanted. But they are. We've beaten it before and we're gonna do it again.
Oh, I'm obviously black. You're the Weeknd's After Hours not being nominated for a Grammy? No, that's whack. I said I'm black. Oh, you're in the box. No, that's Jack. I said I'm black. You're the person watching this right now? No, that's a snack. I said I'm black. You're a curved spine. That's my back, but I said I'm black. You're the duck in that one commercial? No, that's Affleck. I said I'm black. You're when you have a bunch of missed calls from your mom? No, that's a heart attack. I said I'm black. Oh, you're
I don't know what's so creepy about telling the truth.
White women, I'm starting to notice a pattern that I'm starting to take issue with, and I would love some help understanding. Is this man about to criticize white women? I mean, yeah. Because people that look like me made white supremacy and patriarchy, and I was under the impression we were all on the same page, that we're supposed to be destroying these mechanisms, but I'm starting to get mixed signals. It seems to me there's a difference between how white women treat white women and how white women treat women of color. It seems that white women see themselves as powerful and worth hearing for being white, but also fragile when criticized and needing to be protected for being women, mobilizing white supremacy and patriarchy whenever it's convenient, while women of color seem to be treated as tokenized and useful until viewed as problematic. And if you think I'm talking about this one encounter, I am, but really I'm just talking about an overarching problem. And if a woman of color is willing to go to extreme lengths to prove a problematic white person, they're criticized for the lengths they go to even if they're right. It's giving very, you can protest, just not in that way. I want to be a good ally, but I'm starting to get mixed signals here.
Jeff, thank you.
From the bottom of our hearts, we're so happy for you.
This is so brave.
So brave. You are starting the next Great Migration.
Leading PWC everywhere back to their homeland.
As we all know, they don't belong here, you know?
Yeah, they were never meant for Earth.
Like,
you know?
if you look around, PWC can't survive in the sun. They have to
just
colonize
boil.
all these places on
Yeah.
Earth. And I think it's really hard for them to be on this planet.
Right.
Since their homeland is so far away.
It must
But
have been
Jeff,
really hard.
Jeff is taking them back.
He's taking them back. And he's not afraid to, you know, really put it out there. Like, and bring his sibling along, like, really make it a whole family thing to say. And what he's really saying, even though he's not saying it directly, he's saying to all PWC, it's time to go home. I see you. I hear you.
I stand with you.
Yeah.
When did pro-choice get so transphobic? No uterus, no opinion?
Why am I not at all surprised that you don't know what transphobic means? Or that you don't understand that saying no uterus, no opinion is actually more inclusive than saying that abortion is a women's issue. Because it includes trans men who have uteruses. And non-binary people who might be pregnant. And people who don't identify as women in general who can give birth. And why do I just know in my heart of hearts that this is the only trans issue you will ever speak to?
I'm gonna stand up for trans people by going after the pro-choice slogan.
No, actually, that's not what we—
Shut up! I'm making a point!
I try to make it pretty obvious what kind of store you're coming into before you come in, so you know what you're getting into, by the flags that I put out in the planters and what I put in my window display. I saw a couple outside the window looking at the flags and snickering, and then I saw them start to head in, and I rolled my eyes because I can spot a troll in life or online a mile away. They started walking around the store, reading the product out loud and, sharing with each other their opinions about it. It was clear to me they came inside just to give me a hard time, but whatever, I'm used to trolls. So then he got to my wall of embroidery and he said, "Oh, where are all the male parts? This is a sexist store, isn't it?" And I just said, yep. Then he got to my sticker section, and I have a lot of stickers that say Black Lives Matter or Make Racists Afraid Again or Old White Men Don't Control Our Bodies. He turns to me and he says, "Where's all your merch for the other side?" And I said, "Well, this is a feminist store. What is the other side of a feminist store?" And he was sort of at a loss for words, and he just mumbled something and was like, "I don't know, I just find all of this stuff sexist." And I said, "Well, you're entitled to feel that way. This probably isn't the store for you. I'd probably leave before you continue to fill your diapers more." And he left.
Here's the thing about the white leftists, right? They have to realize that just because you are a woman, it does not mean I won't block you. 76% of my followers are women. Most of the people I block are women, statistically. Because they can be mean too, for no reason. Don't make me start exposing you.
Yeah, white women in this industry usually take like a year or two before they start doing interracial, and then they charge more for it. By the way, the industry might have changed. This is just my experience from 2017 when I was in it. This is one of the many reasons why I think radfem ideas around this issue are overly simplistic. White women basically dominate this industry. You could basically look at all the top models in the industry and you'll see that they're mainly just white women, and they cater to white cis hetero men. This is something they don't tell you about getting into the mainstream corn industry, but if you are POC or LGBT and you want to get into the mainstream corn industry, prepare to kiss those women's asses. I've seen a white female performer get called out for saying the N-word, and so many of the black male performers came out to defend her. She didn't say the N-word. Even if she did, it wouldn't matter. They're just trying to make sure they stay hired.
If this is what you call a honeymoon, pacing around our separate rooms, running from our elaborate rules, we're doomed. Please forgive me your grace. Can't even look me in the face.
In the past month, I've had to break mutuals with 2 trans-inclusive radfems over videos that promoted transphobia or general ignorance towards trans people and their identities. And I don't have much to say on the current discourse that the most recent situation sparked, but I will say this. It is very obvious from these 2 situations and my general observance of trans-inclusive radfems that the trans-inclusive part only refers to trans women who pass, or have suffered enough misogyny in the same way that cis women do so that their lives as women are deemed valid. And I'm sure there are some truly trans-inclusive radfems out there somewhere. But it's time to contend with the fact that the current landscape of radical feminist ideology is, by default, antagonistic towards trans people. That has a lot to do with the bioessentialism that surrounds its basic ideas of gender and sexuality. And as someone who was a radfem for almost 2 years, I can tell you that it's very possible to convince yourself that you're not transphobic, with shallow sentiments of tolerance and inclusion, and still, all the while, hold views that are bigoted and ultimately exclusionary towards trans people.
What they call the sister circles, in which they actually talk to each other and they devised ways in which they could address abuse without relying on policing and prisons. And one example that was given was one of the women came to the sister circles and said, "My ex-boyfriend has been stalking me, he's been like psychologically intimidating me, and I'm getting worried that this is going to keep escalating until he becomes physically violent with me." And they talked with her and they devised a plan, and I'm going to shorten the version because I'm sure a lot of planning went on. It wasn't like they just automatically had this instinct. And what they did was they went and they confronted him at the barber shop where he worked in front of all his coworkers and said, "Look, this is what you're doing to this woman. You need to stop." And what happened was that the men in the barber shop that worked with him said, "Hey, that's really messed up. You need to stop." And his boss even said, "If I hear about this again, you're fired. You are not going to be harassing this woman anymore."
less over their lifetime is because of the choices they make. And feminism shouldn't ever be about berating women who decide to raise a family or to go part-time or who, don't want to take the overtime. Women who choose to prioritise their physical and mental health over having a full-time career.
We can't use any of this. This is not the narrative that we're supposed to...
I am not suggesting that sexism has been consigned to the history books or that women don't face discrimination in the workplace, that doesn't exist. Of course it does. But we should be telling our young women that they are strong, not weak. And yet you've got the BBC promoting an app to help women speak up in meetings. Fuck off. How dare you?
You can't say fuck.
You've got police in Nottingham making catcalling a prosecutable hate crime. It's not a hate crime, it's just really disgusting behaviour. David Schwimmer offers female journalists a chaperone during interviews and everyone praises him for it. I'd have punched him in the fucking face.
Yeah, I'd quite like to punch fucking David Schwimmer in the face.
Fucking chaperone! It's not 1910. Women aren't...
Lassù in montagna, oh bella ciao, 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 seppellire lassù in montagna.
What you know about rolling down in the deep when you